biggest poker game going on right now, a.k.a. the NFL Draft. A lot of smoke screens going up right now.
Gotta love some smoke screens. I love smoke shows.
Smoke screens, hot takes, poker games. You get it all here, folks.
So smoke shows was the wrong word. My bad.
I'm going to let you, while I get all the socials set up, I'm going to go ahead and let you take the reins here.
All right. I'm going to rant a little bit real quick.
What are you going to rant about?
The Lakers and the Celtics. Actually, I'm going to rant about the Celtics. We'll save Lakers for
when you. What are you going to rant about the Celtics about?
I'm going to rant about the Celtics for the reason of everyone needs to calm down with Gordon Hayward. Everyone needs to calm down with Gordon Hayward. He'll be fine. He will be okay. I think he's going to, I don't know if he's going to be a great player. You know, having that knee injury sucks. But from last year, if anyone doesn't know who's listening out there, are millions of viewers. I just think that everyone, like, saying that he's a bum and stuff like that needs to relax and realize that he hasn't even been a year back
from. Yeah,
and
that's
like,
a really tough injury to come back from.
And also,
we pretty much watched his ankle explode on air. Like, I've never seen the inside of a guy's leg like that before.
And also, like, the reality is that, like, he can't play 30-plus minutes a game, like, right now. Like, I mean, he can't. I don't think they're going to let him.
Okay.
They don't want to. So, like, I mean, I feel like the points they're talking about him just not
Okay, before we get to that, let me properly set up the show. Okay, we got everything going. We're on
Kyrie Irving. I don't know what his issue is.
All right, I'm going to shut your mic off if you don't let me, like, talk for a second.
All
right, welcome to Here's the Thing. I'm Jesse Varner. You can follow along with the show on Facebook, on Twitter, at JesseWKTKR. Also on my Instagram, JVNews3. I'm alongside, by my trusty co-host, Nick Boykin. Nick, how can people follow you?
Boykin803 on Twitter.
Okay, we have no phone lines here, so if you want to chime into our Facebook Live.
Or tweet at me, bro. Boykin803.
Like we were saying earlier, not a lot of show planned due to the fact, I mean, I go in at 3:30. I just left work around like 2:30. It was a busy day with this IKEA opening. And that thing.
Those meatballs, though.
But, oh, man, those meatballs were the best. IKEA looks pretty cool, but honestly, that is probably the one and only time I'll step foot in that IKEA because I am not conforming to Swedish hell because that's what that place is going to be. And the city of Norfolk put that IKEA in the absolute worst place they could put it.
I don't want to go just because of where it is.
No, the traffic is going to be absolutely nuts for that place. So anybody who's going to that IKEA, I'd avoid it for like the first 3 months.
But hey, if you have kids out there and you got to take them to the outlets, maybe get some sneakers for their upcoming season or some cleats. Stop by IKEA.
Hey, get some spikes, baby. Baseball season's starting up, man. Hey, we had pitchers and catchers report. We got spring training games going on right now.
I think we have a sponsor now. Norfolk Outlets. We just plug Norfolk Outlets.
Norfolk Outlets, if you're hearing us, send some sponsor dollars your way. We'll plug Dick's Sporting Goods, Nike, Under Armour, whatever we'll plug Auntie Anne's Pretzels, whatever you want us. We are not above shameless plugs on this radio show at all, folks. We will take whatever dollars we can get, and I will plug Chico's bail bonds if I need to, all right? Anyways, we do have a full show. Can we
try and get Plaza de Sol, though? Because that would be great.
Oh, man. Well, I'd say...
It's right by work.
Well, I'd go for the chips and salsa, but they're free already. But, hey, if you want to throw me more chips and salsa, I'll give you guys plugs all you want. Throw me a little extra margarita. I think that's called payola also. Hey, I'll do a live broadcast of Plaza del Sol. That could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it would. That'll get rowdy.
That will get really rowdy. The FCC would shut that show down within like 10 minutes. So anyways, we do have a full show. Things are heating up with the NFL draft. World's biggest poker game, smoke screens. We've already said that. LeBron James and the Lakers look like it's a match made in hell. What else we got going on? You and I went to the ODU game last night, the regular season finale. And I'll go ahead and start with that for a second. Folks, they lost. All right? So what? They already clinched the #1 seed in the Conference USA tournament, which is all that matters right now. They got UAB on Saturday, but I would highly doubt any starters play any real minutes in that game. The reason why we saw the starters play last night because it was senior night. You know, we got to see Ahmad Caver and BJ Stith. You know, we got to see them play their final games in the TED and ODU uniforms, unless this team does go to the NIT, because unfortunately, postseason hopes for ODU, if they want to go to the big dance, only rely on if they win the Conference USA tournament. They had a great year. They've had a phenomenal year. First time ever regular season champions. You beat Syracuse on the road. And right now, you are Syracuse's biggest fan. You want them to go into that ACC tournament, and you want them to either make it to the semifinals or be there in that final game, that may help you, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. It's just Conference USA is just I love what they did with the pod play this year. I love the fact that you took the top 4 teams and you get them to play each other in a round robin type situation. That way you try to boost the RPIs a little bit, but you still have schools like UTEP and Rice, and Louisiana Tech, who are just, their RPIs are just way too low in the 200s and the 300s to really help boost ODU's any chances going to the NCAA tournament.
And it's really unfortunate that game did not help them last night.
No,
because it was such a good game. Those two teams were good. It was a great game.
They went back and forth, and Southern Miss is a good team. I mean, that's why they were in that pod play.
That point guard.
Man, they're a small team, but they are fast and they can shoot. And
Number 55 was shifty.
They're not scared. No, 55 was getting below the basket, and he was dropping dimes, and he was hitting shots all night. And ODU, I saw a lot of hero ball last night. I saw a lot of ISO play, a lot of one-on-ones.
A lot of missed free throws.
A lot of missed free throws, which is a common theme with this team. But also, I get it, too. You already got the number 1 seed locked up. Really, you're only going out there to try to get some wins, to build your tournament resume. And, it's senior night. You want your fans, you want to go out on a good note. Go out on a good note. Go win Conference USA tournament. You want to go out on a good note this season, go win the Conference USA tournament. You're the number 1 seed. You got it by like 3 games. Go win the tournament. You're going to be the favorite. I mean, you run into a Southern Miss team like that again, brother help you. I mean, that was a low-scoring game. Good. I mean, we already know ODU has one of the best defenses in the nation.
It was in the 70s. It wasn't that low-scoring, I guess, was it?
No, the final was like 57-54. What game were you watching?
Was it really?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I was
the final was 57-50. Remember, after the half was like 34-31 or something like that.
It was 31-24. I remember the halftime score.
Yeah, it was 31-24 at the half.
I tweeted that out.
Anyways, ODU, I mean, I like this team a lot this year. I've loved what I've seen from the plays from the big. Xavier Green just took milestones this year, and the kid is probably going to be one of the top players, if not the top players for the Monarchs next year. The freshman played great. Jason played great this season. Zipe has played great. I'm really excited to see what this team is going to do in the Conference USA tournament, and I will have a show during spring break, so we'll be on, because I do want to be on during that next week, because the tournament isn't until next week. So we're going to preview that. We're going to look at ODU. I'm going to see what we can do about having maybe a special guest on that knows a little bit more about the team than I do. But I've already said it. You Old Dominion, Monarchs, you know what you got to do, because unfortunately you're not going to go to the big dance. And where I was getting into that, we may see you again at the TED, because I do think this team can make the NIT. If you can make it to the final day, if you can make it to the Conference USA tournament and unfortunately lose, I still think you can make. I still think this team will get an NIT bid.
Don't they get the NIT bid regardless because of the regular season championship?
No. Well, actually, no. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So they will go to the NIT no matter what. Yeah, actually, you're right. I forgot about that. Yeah, because they are regular season champions.
And I mean, they are the best team in the conference. It's just not always about that. It never has been. And the unfortunate part is that, and you were talking about Syracuse. Syracuse is also a bubble team. You want to prove that you beat a really good team, but at the same time, if Syracuse does really good and you're at Old Dominion, you're sitting here trying to get in the tournament and you don't win the conference, I mean, that's a team that's going to knock you out, because Syracuse is going to get over you. They're all the time, every time.
I feel like Syracuse is a bubble team every year, and they get in when they shouldn't get in, and they go on these runs to the Sweet 16, the Elite 8, the Final Four.
I think Boeheim's having trouble recruiting. But I still think he's a good coach.
Oh no, he is. He's one. Well, that zone, when he switches that zone up on people, I think he is, because I think he's getting out of times for a little bit. I think he's relying on his assistants to recruit.
Which bless his heart for what happened to him.
They're not getting the 5 stars up there that they used to get. I mean, but Boeheim never really needed that. They're kind of like Michigan, in the sense that they're just so well coached. They don't need big time recruits. They just need guys that can play their system and play their ball and hit threes, and they're good. I mean, Michigan, look at Michigan. Michigan is probably going to be one of my picks to go to the Final Four this year. They weren't a team under the radar. They were the top 10 all year. But if you can name me one of their star players, I'll give you $20. I mean,
Peoples.
I'm not giving you $20. They don't have these guys that are that are McDonald's All-Americans. But I mean, I'm drawing a blank. This is how tired I am. Michigan's coach. Why am I drawing a blank? coached at Richmond. Anyways, they're always one of the most well-coached teams in the tournament, and Boeheim kind of does it as well. And speaking about Old Dominion, you kind of look at the landscape of college basketball this year, and you see a big theme has been is that these underdogs, these small colleges, these mid-majors are stepping up and showing their worth.
Yeah, I mean, look at Wofford.
If Wofford,
you know how many people go to Wofford? Less than 10,000 people. I'm pretty sure it's around 10 to 12,000. Like I think it is, and it's in South Carolina.
If somehow, some way,
they're ranked number 25, or they were recently.
Well, no,
they're going to get in even if they don't win.
That's gonna say if somehow, some way, Wofford doesn't win the SoCon the conference tournament, the SoCon's going to be a 2-bid league. That's insane to think of. And you've even seen it with teams like Furman this year and Liberty and Radford. These teams that have flirted with the top 25. And also, we can get into the landscape of college basketball around the Commonwealth because there's a good chance that this state may put 7 colleges in the tournament.
There's a very good chance. And you talk about the teams that are going to make it. Old Dominion could. Radford could. VCU could.
Norfolk State. They're 14-1 in the MEAC.
Norfolk State is the top of the MEAC right now.
And they get the opportunity of playing the MEAC and the MEAC tournament in their backyard.
Virginia Tech.
They're both going in the tournament.
VCU, Liberty has a chance as well.
VCU is going to get an at-large bid. They just had too good of a year not to get an at-large bid, and the A10 is a multiple bid league. I like it. I like it for college basketball. I like it when the mid-majors. Because, I mean, look, we go to a mid-major school. I went to a mid-major school beforehand when I went to VCU. We were in the CAA when we went to the Final Four. I like it when these underdogs step up. And I think you see a lot of it, too, because with these mid-majors, they're not going to get your 5-star McDonald's All-American recruits. But what they're going to get kids that are going to stay all 4 years. And kids that stay all 4 years, they have more continuity. They play together. They've been through it all. They went through 4 years of college together. They hang out all the time. They travel together. They're going to play better on the court. And you're going to see that in the NCAA tournament because even a team like Tennessee, which nobody wants to play in the tournament, they're not doing it with McDonald's All-Americans. They're doing it with guys like Admiral Schofield and Grant Williams who've been at that program. I feel like Schofield's been there for like he's been there as long as Hunter Renfro's been at Clemson.
Well, Schofield's dirty.
He's nasty. He's one of my favorite players. Grant Williams is one of my favorite players too, man. That boy's gonna be
Schofield.
He's gonna be something at the next level, man.
Schofield is scary.
No, they both are because Schofield can shoot, man.
I like Williams. I'm not.
I think they're both gonna be something at the next level.
Williams is just like, I don't know. He just reminds me a lot of Charles Barkley, but like, I hope he can shoot on the outside because he's not that tall.
Well, Schofield can shoot too for how big he is, man.
I'm not saying he can't. And he can move, but like, I hope he can shoot well. Like, there's a difference between shooting and shooting well. Like, and if he can't, then it's gonna be hard for him to go inside.
There's even another team, the Atlantic Sun, where Liberty plays, where they're sitting on top of right now. A lot of people talk about Lipscomb possibly getting an at-large bid because of the season that they've had. If Liberty somehow wins the Atlantic Sun, so the Atlantic Sun could end up being a 2-bid league in one NCAA tournament. You could see the Atlantic Sun and the SoCon become 2-bid leagues. That's just insane to me.
Yeah, I mean, and I think part of it, and not like is that what you're saying is that you have these major conferences where players bail after 3 years,
1 year,
2 years.
Look at this.
And this grad transfer thing doesn't, I think, always play out the way that some of these coaches hope. So you get these teams that aren't always there. You have these leagues that aren't always as good, I think, year to year, and so it leads to, a SoCon getting 2 teams in, Atlantic Sun maybe getting 2, and A10, which is a good basketball league, getting 4 teams in possibly. Like, you have these things that are going to happen. I do say this, and I know this goes right into our next topic that we have an argument on, is that I do think that ODU going to Conference USA will help them in the long run because I think that is going to help them.
I know. We'll talk about that in a minute because I want to finish up this conversation about college basketball and mid-majors because even you look at a school like Murray State. Well,
they also have one of the best players in the country.
They do. Yeah, they got a top 5 pick on their team. And you can't tell me that if Murray State somehow doesn't win the Ohio Valley Conference, that
they're getting in because they want that guy in the tournament.
Well, also, exactly.
It's like Oklahoma getting in over OSU last year. Remember that? Yeah. Oklahoma got in over Oklahoma State last year, and Oklahoma State beat Oklahoma twice.
Because they wanted Trae Young. Because they wanted Trae Young in the tournament. Yeah, CBS. Yeah, if somehow Murray State doesn't win the Ohio Valley Conference, I could see CBS calling up the committee and being like, yeah, they're coming in because we want John Monet in this tournament. And you got nothing you can say about it. And actually, Murray State, they're a good team, 25-4, 16-2 in the Ohio Valley. So you're talking about 3 conferences that are usually one big leads that could have multiple bids this year.
Yeah, and I think you're going to hear a lot more about that this coming week when people really sit down and think, well, are we going to keep one of the best players in the country out of the game? Or are we going to keep these teams that are actually good out just because they're in the mid-major? I really do think, and there's been a few years where a team like Syracuse has gotten in and made a run, but they may have not deserved to have gotten in. I think this may be the year where you see some teams like a Syracuse get left out. You see an Indiana get left out. Yeah. Well, maybe not Indiana because they haven't been there in a while. I'm pretty sure.
No, they're gonna get left out because they're on the bubble right now. Even like an NC State, they're on the bubble right now. But these little conferences are gonna have these mid-major conferences. I hate calling them little. That's the grading. Are gonna have multiple.
Well, they are littler conferences.
Well, they're little schools. I know. But we got to remember the year.
You look at the CAA. When you look at some of the attendance of those schools, like
the year that
multiple 11,000, 8,000, 6,000.
Hofstra's leading the CAA right now, and I think there's schools like maybe like 12,000, if that.
It's a great name too, Hofstra.
But I mean, the year that VCU went to the Final Four, the CAA got 3 teams in that year, I believe, because Old Dominion was in that year, and I believe George Mason was in also. Because VCU, the year they went to the Final Four, didn't win the CAA.
Did.
And they got it, Old Dominion, I believe. Either Old Dominion or George Mason won it, and Old Dominion got in also. And I believe that was also the tournament game where Old Dominion lost to Butler at the buzzer. Yeah. So anyways. So, yeah, we'll take into our next topic. So last night, Nick and I are taking in the Old Dominion game. You know, we're chilling. It's a rarity for me to take in the games from the seats. I'm sorry, that's a humble brag. I've been doing this for a while. I work in media. I get the nice media passes. I sit on the sideline. But also I'm working the whole time too. I digress. So we're talking about, Nick went to a small school. I went to a smallish school. And we were getting into the debate about, the Colonial Athletic Association versus the CAA. I mean, the Conference USA, where, Old Dominion jumped from the CAA for football to get in the Conference USA. They weren't independent at first.
Great decision.
Great decision for football. But is Conference USA going to build Old Dominion's brand? Is it going to make them better?
This is my argument, and just I will lay this out, and then I'll let you go because I know you can go for a minute on this. Yeah. My whole argument stems around this. 3 things. Number 1, Conference USA, the schools in it, the league itself is bigger. It just is. It's a bigger league. It
is. There's bigger schools in it, yes.
Number 2, the exposure you get nationally throughout the whole league, you're going to have more on Conference USA than through Colonial Athletic. They're like travel-wise, your school will get seen more. Like the schools.
What do you see honestly, more on the CBS Sports Network?
Okay, you get seen more because you're playing across the country. So, like, your university is going to get known more going literally, like, from Florida to Texas to up near the Northeast. Conference USA is everywhere.
That sounds like a travel budget nightmare.
And I'm not saying that's not an issue. But what I'm saying, though, is that in the long run, Conference USA has a lot more potential than the Colonial Athletic Association. They do. They just do. And I'm not saying that the CAA isn't a good conference. I'm not saying that they're not strong basketball-wise. Obviously, they are. I'm not arguing that. I'm arguing that the potential for your sports programs in large to grow more is better in the Conference USA. And, yeah, may that take 5 to 10 years for it to get to its full potential? Yes. But at the same time, with football and some of the things that you want to do, you can't stay in the CAA. And when you stay in the CAA, you're talking about a lot of teams that are in Virginia, around Virginia, just around Virginia. So you're recruiting just kids in that area. Like when you go to the Conference USA, I feel like you can say, hey, I can expand my recruiting boundaries. When I'm out there on the road, people see my name more often. And I think that is something that is beneficial.
But
I really do. And the Conference USA is more established in some ways. In some ways, they are. They are a bigger conference.
Well, they are because you do have to look who came from Conference USA. Louisville's come from Conference USA. Memphis has come from Conference USA. SMU, all that. And they're all in the AAC now. I do agree.
Which is really the conference USA.
It is. Well, but remember, the AAC is what happened when they
combined Conference USA and Big East.
Yeah, is when they got rid of
Which now there's still, and now there is totally separate Conference USA and Big East.
And Big East, and then like I hate the way they did it too, man. Because I love the
old
Big East.
I love what they did. I love what they did. I don't,
because I miss the old Big East because there is nothing better than the Big East tournament. When you had Syracuse and UConn,
it's still pretty good though.
Yeah, but
it's not like they picked up scrub teams and threw them in there.
And even Notre Dame was in the Big East tournament. I know, but I go back to that epic semifinal game between UConn and Syracuse at the Garden, the 6th
was that Kimball Walker
game.
Yeah,
Kimball. I believe it was Kimball Walker. Yeah, the 6th.
They ended up winning the tournament that year too, didn't they?
UConn.
Yeah, because didn't they win the Big East tournament and they won the?
Well, I think so because they needed to win the Big East tournament to get into the NCAA tournament that year.
UConn wrecked house that year. Kimball Walker.
Well, no, they wrecked house once they got in the tournament. They didn't have a good regular season. I think they needed to win the Big East tournament to get a solidified.
Talk about putting a team on your back, Kimball Walker. Kimball Walker scored 20 points last night for Buzz City, baby.
I get. Frank the Tank too, man. Frank the Tank had 20 points. No, so I get what you're saying. The exposure, yeah, but when Old Dominion, okay, you go down to Florida Atlantic in Boca Raton, and I'll give you $100 if you can find me 5 students on campus who've heard of Old Dominion University, where they've heard of it, if they can pick the city that it's in. We're Miami with Florida International. I mean, Huntington, West Virginia, like Southern Miss, Hattiesburg, Mississippi. You're talking exposure, but you're talking exposure in like not the best cities.
I mean, I don't know if a lot of people would know that VCU's in Richmond in the same regard.
I think they do now. I mean, you know what helped was the basketball program.
Now, but like there's in some regards I don't think, but like you can make the argument that way. I will give you this. There's a valid point for as an athletic program. Is it going to pay off switching to a conference?
Well, that's
like money wise, like the travel definitely.
Well, money wise, it's not helping Old Dominion.
No, it's not. It's not. But at the same time, if Conference USA doesn't fold, which you never know, and if it will grow and sustain, and it's not even about Conference USA sustaining. It's about Old Dominion sustaining, so that maybe they can even get in an AAC at some point.
I mean, I don't. Well, that's what.
But the reality is, they're not.
But
you know this too.
No.
They're not going anywhere for a decade. I mean, they can't. Like, who's moving out the AAC? Who's going? Like,
well, it's not about who
you're moving out the AAC.
No, it's not. It's not about who needs to move out of the AAC. It's if the AAC wants to expand and who they're going to bring in, and then it's all about TV markets. Like, is the Norfolk Hampton Roads market attractive enough for the AAC to take them in? Because when it all boils down to it, it's all about TV markets. That's why the Big Ten wanted Rutgers and Maryland, because they wanted the DC and the New York market. Even though I don't know how many people in New York are watching Rutgers basketball or football, and if you are, God help you, and you probably have a gambling problem because you're only watching those games for monetary reasons.
You know, I'm a South Carolina, and I'm knocking wood because I don't want Rutgers to beat us someday. You know, I'm a South Carolina Gamecocks fan, and that's hard. But if you're a Rutgers University sports fan, that's got to be terrible.
Well, outside of like football, just football and basketball, all their other sports I think are pretty good.
You know what really sucks for Rutgers? They were really good at football for a couple years.
When they had Greg Schiano as their head coach.
And Ray Rice as
a running back. Yeah, two guys that don't have the best reputations anymore when it comes to the game of football, but I digress. Anyways,
Greg Schiano thing's interesting.
The next move for Old Dominion needs to be the AAC because there's just too many schools close by in the AAC that make natural rivalries for Old Dominion. Navy's in the AAC. You can't tell me that Foreman Field won't fill up if Navy comes to town.
Oh, that'd be a great. I think they should do that anyways.
No, they should. Actually, they should.
The fact that those teams don't play.
It would, Sealick and John Broderick, if you're listening right now, y'all need to be on the horn with Navy football and getting a home schedule with those guys because you're gonna sell for the brand new Foreman Field, Ballard Stadium, whatever you're gonna call it. You're gonna sell that out.
Yeah,
I guarantee it.
That'd be a good web story. Would you go see
ODU take on Navy football?
Yeah,
because they did in basketball this year, and it didn't really get the buzz. I don't think they wanted to. I mean, when I went to that game and the crowd wasn't. I mean, I saw a lot of Navy guys there, but I don't think it was the crowd they thought it was going to be. It's because Navy basketball isn't really relevant, but
Well, and
Navy
it also,
football is.
Yeah, and it takes in that regard is very true. Is that Navy football has a good fight, like Navy football and Army football. Like you'd be surprised how many people actually care about watching those two teams play in football.
Yeah,
it's a lot. Like I mean, and also about
I mean, I went to the waterside party for the Army Navy game. That place was packed.
Yeah, and I mean, like that is this town, but like there are other places across America where there's packed places watching Army Navy. Like, and honestly and personally, my favorite game is Army Navy game. And I like and I like.
You got to go to it this year.
I did. I've been to 2 of them actually. I've covered 2 of them. It's an experience of a lifetime. But I like seeing Navy play other games too. I mean, honestly, the reality is like watching those academy sports. I just love them. I love those kids. Bless their hearts.
I guess like Air Force also. I mean, the Commander-in-Chief trophy is kind of cool.
Air Force used to be a really good team just in general. Air Force also gets a break comparatively, I think, to Army.
But anyways, I don't want to spend the rest of the show on this because we'll get into this more when the tournament comes up. You know, we'll talk. I mean, it's just. I mean, you're right. Old Dominion, they're going to be stay put for the next 5 to 10 years. They're not going anywhere anytime.
Which can be a good thing if the league just gets better. I mean, like you said,
but how's the league going to get the only way the league is going to get better if they bring in better schools, but no one's going to drop from the AAC to come into Conference USA.
Hey, we have Lane Kiffin, all right? Chill out.
Well, Lane Kiffin, Butch Davis, who's I mean, Jeff Fromm was in here at one point.
Conference USA has some
Conference
coaches.
USA has got some coaches. I mean, they have some coaches on the football side of things.
Some coaches that has some history.
Yeah. Doc Holliday, at Marshall. Yeah. So, anyways, we'll move on. I don't think you guys want to hear us talk about because we could do a whole week of shows on conference realignment.
Okay.
All right. So let's get into the mess that is Lakerland right now and LeBron James.
Man,
Laker fans, if you're listening, how did you not see this coming? Okay? Even when LeBron came in, pundits were saying at the beginning of the season it doesn't make them a playoff team. And now everyone is saying the sky is falling because they're not making it to the playoffs this season. When you said earlier this year, you're going back on what you said earlier this year.
I think it'd be really funny if Luke Walton doesn't get fired at the end of the season.
Oh, he's gone. And he's going to be the scapegoat, unfortunately. And guess who they're going to bring in? They're going to bring in Tyronn Lue. I guarantee it. I put it, check down right now, mark it, whatever. Go to the book with it. Go to the book in Vegas with it. The next head coach of the Lakers is Tyronn Lue. Because he's the only person that LeBron can shove around like a little kid. Like Iverson shoved him around.
To be honest with you, you can tell just from the demeanor of Luke Walton that, like, I just don't think that, like, if LeBron was to say something to him.
Because I don't think he wants to play. I don't think he wants to coach with LeBron.
I don't think LeBron wants to play for Luke Walton. I don't think Luke Walton wants to coach LeBron.
No, he doesn't. Because LeBron is.
And I've seen some of these press conferences where Luke Walton looks miserable up there. He looks like they've already told him maybe that he's not going to be there.
LeBron isn't coachable. He doesn't listen. I mean, because he is the best player in the game right now.
My issue with LeBron, and I don't hate the guy. Like, I do think he works hard. And I think he's a good person. I do have an issue sometimes on how he projects himself, not when it comes to, like, social issues, but just how he projects himself as, like, a business person and how a teammate. Like he doesn't. There are times where he just, like, isn't. I don't know. Like, it's just like. You can tell why there may be people that don't want to play with him just by how he acts and how he says. Like, you can see that, like, maybe that's the issue. And honestly, if I was the NBA, I have a really big issue with the thing that happened with Rich Paul and their group with LeBron and Anthony Davis. And to be honest with you, if I was the NBA, I would be taking notes on how the MLB and the NFL, there's a reason that they've done what they've done. Of not.
Are you talking about tampering?
Of tampering, and I don't even know if you can say, like, it's fully tampering type thing, but, like, there are issues when that's happening. There are issues when you see an agent and a player leaving at halftime because, like, yeah, just do it, just try and do that. Like, I mean, like Rich Paul, that was embarrassing.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you,
it's embarrassing for the Lakers. It's embarrassing also for all the young guys on that team too. I mean, LeBron.
I do agree with Matt Johnson on that. They need to grow up. Like, I mean, this is like.
No, they saw what LeBron did in Cleveland. Basically, when they thought they couldn't make the playoffs, he traded the entire roster.
Yeah.
He traded everybody for everyone, and that's what a lot of these young players are scared of that too. Like, I mean, they need to. Okay, you say they need to grow up. But also,
I mean, I'm not saying that like they need to grow up like they're.
When you're a Laker, you're like you're like still like even though you're a Laker and you're in Hollywood, you're still one of the #1 guys in that city.
And I'm not arguing that like it sucks to be traded and that dealing with that young age is not the same as dealing with it at like 33.
But also Magic has no experience with that. He played for the Lakers his entire career.
And I'm not arguing that. I'm arguing though that like it is professional sports, and
but also these guys have lives and wives and
maybe
too,
your agents and your parents need to tell you this because I'm sure they probably haven't. I'm you know what I'm like they need agents. If you're out there listening, probably aren't.
No,
tell your players even if they're 19 years old, hey. Congrats, you just signed your draft. You just signed your draft contract. Realize, though, that in a year you could be somewhere else. Like, it can happen that quick, and you can't take it personally.
Yeah,
and
but these guys also are people, too, and they have lives and wives and families. You know, they don't have to, like, uproot in the middle of the season when their daughter just got adjusted to everybody there.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks, but that's what you do, and you get to make millions doing it.
They were talking about trading guys that they brought in during the offseason. So what, you're going to be on the team? It would mess with my head too if like I'm on this team, if I'm on this team for 6 months and they want to trade me already.
I'm not saying this wasn't handled well, but I will say, and it wasn't handled well just all around.
Absolutely not. It was
what
not
the Lakers
well.
did. But I do agree with Magic Johnson the fact of like these players aren't.
They're not 16.
They're not 16 years old.
Excuse me.
They're not 16 years old.
They're human beings.
They're
also,
not
though, man. They're human beings. Also,
they're not going home to mommy and daddy and sitting there. Like I understand they're human beings, and I understand it's frustrating. But like, do you think that it's like less
so you think
hard
just
for
because I get to be a
33?
professional athlete, I don't have to have any feelings or thoughts on my team trading me when I just put my daughter in school?
It's not that. I just think that we wouldn't be having this conversation if these kids were like 25 or 30. We're having it because they're 18.
No, they're not 18. Brandon Ingram's been in the league for like 4 or 5 years.
How's Lonzo Ball?
Lonzo was
like 19, 20?
Like 21, 22?
Maybe. I mean, but like we're having this conversation because of how young they are.
Kyle Kuzma wasn't a one and done player in college.
We're having this conversation because of how young they are.
Kyle Kuzma isn't that young. Kyle Kuzma's like 27 years old.
We're having this conversation because of how young these players are collectively.
They're not that young.
They are young.
No,
and people are getting all butthurt about it.
Kyle Kuzma's like 27.
I think there is some regards to be like, hey, like realize that you play professional sports and you're on the market. I mean, we say the same thing about football.
I think that's the dumbest argument, man. I think it's the dumbest argument.
Have you said this about football players?
What?
About this? Like, dude, they get cut. They get cut all the time in football.
Yeah, they get cut, and then a lot of times the dream is dead. And a lot of times, no, they don't get. There's not nearly as many trades in the NFL as there is.
These kids,
no, there's not nearly as many trades in the NFL as there is in baseball.
These kids.
I mean, basketball.
These kids are professional athletes. They're gonna get traded. It's a part of the sport.
They're professional athletes, but they still have families too,
yeah,
man.
But they're making millions of dollars.
Not all of them are making millions of dollars.
Right, they're making hundreds of thousands. That's still more than a lot of people.
And you know this with a lot of NFL players. A lot of them, there's a lot of millionaires, but there's also a lot of thousandaires in the NFL too.
Yeah, 450 is what the league minimum. That's almost $500,000. That's
still okay. So say I'm working at,
and to be honest with you, like
say
the
I'm
whole
working
daughter
at
thing,
Apple.
like that's just you got to sign up for that. That's your family, man. Like,
so
you got to sign up for that. Like,
so say
your family.
Say I'm working at Apple, making $450,000. All of a sudden, Coke wants to trade for me, and I'm going to make $600,000. Well, I'm going to make the same salary. But I can't like gripe how like unsettling it's going to be to uproot my entire. What I got to say, I'm just a professional.
I mean,
and I got to uproot my entire family and go cross country.
I mean, yeah, if you're making that kind of money.
I mean that.
And honestly, can I say this? If you uproot your kid like when they're 5 years old or even once, it's not going to ruin their life. So, like, I think.
What are you, a child psychologist now?
No, but it's just not. Like, I mean, like, there are a bunch of people that have had to move because of their families, and I don't think they're like crazy and you're like, oh, you know, my dad, he was a professional athlete, and we moved a couple places, and like, you know, it's just hurt me so much. Like. That's not how that works. Like,
oh, and you know this from experience.
You're making it seem like that, and I don't think that's what it is.
Well, that's the way you're talking. Like,
I mean,
you're making it seem like you know experience with this.
You're making it seem like, yeah, my dad played in the NFL 10 years, dude. Big league. I'm just kidding, you didn't. But no, like, I mean, you're making it. I think you're making it seem like Like, these families don't know what they sign up for, and they can't explain
They know
to
what
their
they
kids.
sign up for.
And to be honest with you,
okay, my argument is, like, I know what they sign up for, but my argument is it still can be unsettling for them.
Well, yeah, it's unsettling for everyone to move, but the reality is that Magic Johnson is right from the regards of these kids aren't. He's 16 years old.
He's right in some sense.
I'm not saying that it's unsettling.
He's not 100% right.
And I will get.
He's not 100% right.
Well, he's not 100% right about anything he's done. I'm not saying that, but he is right in the fact in regard of, like, these kids are professional athletes, and we're not going to cry if some 21-year-old gets cut, and he's out there without a job, and we're not going to cry. I think if it was I think the reality is there's a lot of whining in the NBA.
There's a lot of divas in the NBA. There is. Like the NBA has to be the most diva-filled sport.
And there's a little thing like a couple weeks ago about how there were NFL people who wanted Adam Silver as
the commissioner.
I think a majority of the NFL would be like, NBA ratings are down. Their players are kind of controlling the league in a certain sense of how. It is
a very star-driven league, and LeBron made it that way. LeBron made it as a very player-controlled league.
And it makes me want to watch less NBA. And there's a lot of good players in the NBA.
There are.
I'm not saying that your players can't have personalities. Yeah. I understand that. But no business has ever worked when the employees make that much of an impression on management. No business has ever worked that way. I'm not saying that you can't have bargaining agreements. I'm not saying that you can't have a union. I'm not saying that you can't have a voice in how, like, you have to work. But the NBA is at this point, there's a fine line between your players running the league, not running the league, but having a very large impression on how things are done, and you actually managing down to them, like and like I think
LeBron made it that way.
I think sometimes that's taken as like a social.
LeBron made it that way.
I do think that, like, there can be an issue that way.
LeBron made it that way because it all started with.
And I'm not saying LeBron's not a good businessman. He's a good businessman. Like, honestly, I would have gone to L.A. That's a good financial move.
LeBron started that way when he said, "I'm taking my talents to South Beach." All right, let's move on because we're gonna, like, argue about this too much. But we're going to move on from one set of divas to one diva making the news right now, and that's Antonio Brown. Big rumors floating around there.
I like Antonio Brown.
I like Antonio Brown too, but he's a little bit of a diva. All wide receivers are. OBJ is a diva also. Chad Johnson was a diva. Anyways, so the rumors are floating around.
I think people would take him more seriously if he could explain himself like LeBron
Can I get a word on my show at all?
Nah.
Anyways, rumors floating around that the Antonio Brown trade is going to be done by Friday. You could come back to the mic. I just want to, like, set up the segment before we start talking.
To the Redskins.
And that's a big debate right now too, because you got the Antonio Brown trade rumors floating around. You got the Josh Rosen trade rumors floating around because you got the NFL draft coming up, which is always the world's biggest poker game. And the Cardinals right now, they could be just testing teams to see who's going to trade up for the number 1 pick and who wants it and who really wants Kyler Murray, and is Kyler Murray going to go number 1? Actually, I think the Cardinals are baiting the Raiders on this one because the Raiders got a lot of picks they can give to Arizona to move up to draft Kyler Murray if that's where they want to go. And also, Raiders got enough picks, too, to trade for Antonio Brown and still get Kyler Murray. That could be one heck of a setup in Oakland/Las Vegas. For the Redskins, I mean, the smart move here, like – the smart move here for the Redskins, that if the Cardinals are interested in moving on from Josh Rosen and they do want to trade him, take him. Go get him. Because you need a future quarterback. Alex Smith may never play another down of football ever again. And actually, that may help you because you can get that $30 million off the books.
It is sad, too, because, like, I do think he's a good quarterback. It just sucks.
Alex Smith, yeah. It would just suck if that's the way his career is going to end. Yeah, Redskins, if you got a chance to go get Rosen, don't piddle around with Colt McCoy for a season. Don't try to tank to get too over from. Go get Josh Rosen.
Colt's a good backup, though. For sure. That's not a bad idea.
Oh, yeah, he's one of the highest paid backups in the league for a reason. You know, the Redskins are really high on Colt. Colt's had a great career.
He makes $1 million a year just to be backup.
Yeah. And he's had a great career as a backup. You know, he's been in for what, probably 10 years.
Better have Mark Sanchez as your backup.
But don't do the Redskins move and go get Antonio Brown. That's not going to solve anything for you. Like, you're gonna trade these picks and go get Antonio Brown for what? Who's gonna throw him the ball? Colt? That's not gonna make Colt a better quarterback.
I also just and you know what? It could be with this whole Antonio Brown thing that he just wanted a fresh start somewhere. And
no,
sometimes you want that in your
that's
career.
what he said. No, a lot of times athletes, that's just what they need. They need a fresh start somewhere.
I mean, I think that's what happened with Bryce Harper a little bit. He just wanted to go somewhere different.
Bryce is. The two things happened to Bryce Harper. His name is Scott Boras. That's what happened with Bryce Harper. Scott Boras went to his freaking head, and he should have stayed with the Nationals.
I heard something interesting.
Actually, I think the Nationals are a better team without Bryce.
I heard something interesting yesterday.
What's that?
On a sports show that they think that 13-3-30 deal was something that, you know, Scott Boras went back to Philly once he realized he wasn't going to get that 400. It was like, look, hey, we'll do this. Just make it 13 years. Like, because like when you really think about it, and you project, like, yeah, that's a lot of money right now. But when you project 13 years ago, it's a good deal.
Yeah.
It's a good deal.
Yeah.
It's not $45 million a year.
No. I mean, any of those Bryce deals they had on the table, if I was Bryce, I would have taken the 5-year 125 deal, where what was the 225 deal from the Dodgers.
Yes.
Because the Dodgers are more contenders than the Phillies are. The Dodgers have been back-to-back World Series.
And you're going to get more, I don't know. I mean, like, the Phillies will get exposure. It's not like
no, I will say this. The Phillies lineup is dangerous.
Because I love the Braves.
Hey, but the Bravos are going to have a good season as well, too. No, but the NL East is now stacked. Because even remember, the Marlins had a decent year last year as well. But the Phillies, I mean, they went out, they locked up Aaron Nolan this year. They went and got Dave Robinson, so they got some pitching.
Can Bobby Cox still walk? We'll put him in manager.
Well, actually, I think I saw. Isn't Bobby Cox on the bench for spring training this year for the Bravos?
I
can't remember. I saw.
Honestly, I have not watched a lot of Braves spring. I need to start watching it. I mean, I'm sure he still does stuff within the organization. Like, how could you just let a mind like that go? You know, I'm sure somehow where they're scouting or in the front office.
Anyways, the Phillies lineup looks pretty dangerous. I mean, you've got Juan Segura, who they brought in. You got is it Rise Hopkins or Hopkins? Yeah, Rise Hopkins, Bryce Harper.
We got off of football real quick.
Andrew McCutcheon. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, you haven't really chimed in about the Antonio Brown case.
Well, my thing is this: take him.
Who?
If you have a quarterback, take him if you have a quarterback and throw to him.
Yeah.
And right now you don't have a quarterback and throw to him. So, are you going to get Josh Rosen? Because, I mean, I do think that is actually a good move.
No,
that is a solid move.
They can get a future quarterback.
Because I think the dumbest thing that's going to happen right now is that they're going to take Kyler Murray with that first pick. And as much as I do think
the Redskins?
No, the Cardinals.
Oh, the Cardinals, yeah.
And as much as I do think that he's a good I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I don't think, like Russell Wilson and people don't realize this all the time. Russell Wilson and Drew Brees,
they're small, but they're built.
But they're not the norm either. Like some people are making it out seem like Tyler Murray's going to be the norm quarterback. Like,
no, Russ is
like people don't realize that Pat Mahomes is what, 6'2"?
Yeah. Also, Russ has got the heart of a lion, and Breeze has the arm of a cannon.
Yeah, and there was that report that came out yesterday that Kyler Murray didn't interview well. But
there's reports that could be a smoke screen also.
Yeah, but there's also proof that Kyler Murray is not the most interviewable person, like, which isn't a bad, like, you know,
I don't think it's a bad thing.
I mean, look at Aaron Rodgers; he's kind of dry sometimes.
I think that's just because the NFL draft is still another month away. I think that's just
I just don't know how do you get two quarterbacks back to back?
It's just sports talk fodder when they say stuff like that. It's just something to feed the pig. It's nothing really low hanging fruit, nothing of really any substance, because we're still a month away from the draft. And this Kyler Murray talk is going to keep happening because he's going to have his pro day. And there's going to be a lot of going on with the pro day, too. I mean, does it make sense for the Cardinals? I don't know. A lot of the moves of the offseason the Cardinals have made have not made a lot of sense to begin with. They cut Tyrann Mathieu. Well, no, never mind. I'm sorry. They traded him to the Texans long ago. Never mind. Sorry. They fired Steve Wilkes after 1 year.
I mean, he may have just not been like.
And then they
maybe they just realized real quick he couldn't do it.
Then they hired Cliff Kingsbury, who got fired from Texas Tech.
They're just betting big, man. They're going big. It's like they're going to Vegas and they're like, I'm spending half my life savings.
It's the saying that's been going around. It's the saying that's been going around. Sean McVay is going to get a lot of guys hired and a lot of guys fired because everyone's trying to find the next Sean McVay, and maybe they think Cliff Kingsbury can do it. I don't know.
What do you think the Cardinals are going to do with that pick?
Honestly, I think with that pick, they need to go get Bosa. Because if you have Bosa and Calais Campbell coming from the ends, that's a dangerous combo.
Or just trade to the Raiders.
I think that's what I mean. If I got to make a bet on it, I can see them trading it to the Raiders because the Raiders have a lot of picks to trade up, and I can see Gruden doing something like that, getting a guy like Kyler Murray.
Because that's another quarterback they could go after. The
Redskins go after Derek Carr also, and they could probably get Derek Carr on the cheap.
I think Derek Carr's a better
cheaper
quarterback.
than they can get Josh Rosen.
I don't think Derek Carr's a bad quarterback.
I don't think he responded well to Gruden last year.
Yeah, and also Derek Carr, like a lot of players in Oakland, is put in a weird position between that management group and that coach that they'll have. Like the Jack Del Rio thing, that was weird. It was. Like, and I understand John Gruden, and I understand why he did it. He's proven more than Jack Del Rio. But Jack Del Rio is doing good with them. And I think that Derek Carr had a bad season after having a really good season.
Well, he's almost an MVP.
Oh, Jack
Del Rio, he's an MVP candidate.
I know, but then they had that one bad year, and I think a lot of people were like, "Oh, we need someone who has an offensive mind because we have Derek Carr, and we have this." And then they trade everyone, which I get too, because you want your own guys.
They went after Gruden too because it's a name.
Yeah, no, and they're about to move to Vegas.
Yeah,
I mean, Jack Del Rio is a good coach. He was just called, and he's going to be a head coach again someday. He is.
Yeah, he'll be a retread. He's the common NFL retread. He'll go. He'll end up going
he's like
somewhere
Fox.
else.
He's like, who's that?
Oh, John Fox.
He's like John Fox.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Fox is going to end up anywhere else now. I think
Fox ended up in one Super Bowl.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
lost to the Patriots, Panthers.
Anyways, yeah, we got a month away. We can talk NFL draft storylines for the next month. We got a whole month of it. Yeah, let's get a little bit of this baseball stuff, and then we'll call it a show because we got on the air late. We're probably going to get off late. It's been a crazy day around our newsroom, and I'm ready to go see the back of my eyelids for a while. I'm also starving too. Yeah. Yeah, I mean the whole Bryce Harper thing. Nationals fans, honestly, you're better off without him. You got Victor Robles, Juan Soto, a healthy Adam Eaton, Michael A. Taylor. Your outfield is set. And now you don't have to deal with a guy who, 1, is a diva, 2, is a diva, 3, had almost 200 strikeouts last year while batting 270.
Who, Harper?
Harper, yeah.
Harper had a down year.
He had a down year. I mean, he'll still get you 40 home runs, but he's gonna get you 160 strikeouts.
I understand why the Phillies did the deal. But I also
that Harper has some cojones there. You go to the division rival.
Yeah.
You go to the Phillies.
You know what I do love is I'm going to see that for the next 13 years.
Oh yeah, because the whole no trade clause, and like Bryce said, no, I don't want a trade clause, and the Phillies said there's no opt out. So he is a Philly for the rest of his career. Even though players can find ways to get out of situations, that's a lot of money for
he can get traded.
Yeah, he can get traded. But that's if you can find a team dumb enough to take on that contract. Miguel Cabrera is still getting paid a ridiculous amount of money, and I think he hit 210 last year.
I mean, the only person that's going to take that contract on is if he gets disgruntled and there's just something weird happening in a Boston or New York or in LA. That's the only way.
Well, those teams would have to get desperate. But also, a team like Boston isn't going to take on Harper because guess what? They're going to have their own problems here soon with Mookie Betts.
No. I know that. And I'm not saying now or in the next 2 years, but 8, 9 years down the line, if, Bryce isn't, you know what I'm saying? If it's just this isn't working out or there's maybe something on his end or their end, you know what I'm saying? There's just not a lot of teams, like you said, that are good. The A's aren't taking on that contract. Seattle's not taking on that contract.
Yeah. Oh no!
Braves aren't taking on that contract.
No, but
you know what? I'm not trying to be rude to Bryce Harper, but thank God he's not a Brave because I didn't want to watch Bryce Harper.
I don't even think he talked to the Braves. I don't even think that was going to happen.
I'm glad.
I mean, it was either going to be the Dodgers, the Dodgers were the Phillies, and I'm just glad the whole saga is done and over with because I was getting really tired of hearing
Freddie
about
Freeman for life.
Oh, and on that note, well, and like I said, the Red Sox are going to have their problems with Mookie Betts, man, because they're going to have to pay Mookie Betts. He's an MVP already.
The Red Sox are a weird team, man, and that's
yeah,
not a
but
bad
you know
thing.
The Red Sox are poised. They could easily win it again this year.
They have the best center fielder in baseball.
Mookie Betts.
Jackie Bradley Jr.
Oh, Jackie Bradley Jr. Oh, because South Carolina. Also,
no,
he's from Richmond.
No, I do think he's the best center fielder in baseball. Like, Mookie Betts is a better all-around baseball player.
Yeah.
But, dude, go watch some highlights of Jackie Bradley Jr.
Oh,
out
no,
there.
I know how good he is, man. He's a Richmond kid, too.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I know how good he is.
Dude, his arm, he could have been a pitcher.
Yeah, he's not gonna hit the ball out of the park. But
he
man,
had that
he's
one
got,
good
he's
year,
got
though.
yeah, no, I know, and he's got a glove on. And was he
that shift in baseball messes with those left-handers, and he can't get out of it.
Was he the American League Championship MVP or the World Series MVP? American League, right? Wasn't he the American League MVP?
Yeah. He had a good playoffs.
But, man, we are less than a month out from the baseball season. I cannot wait, man. We're going to be at Harbor Park, slamming some hot dogs, drinking some stale beer, sitting in 90-degree weather.
More than
sitting in 90-degree weather, drinking flat beer and eating stale hot dogs. I absolutely cannot wait.
As long as the company we work for has the tickets,
I absolutely love the baseball season because there's many reasons why I love the baseball season. One, I mean, springtime is finally here, and I'm so sick of it being cold. I wake up every morning at 3:30 to go to work. I am sick and tired of being cold. Two, there is nothing like being at the ballpark, especially at night. When the sun is starting to set, that cool air is coming in. You got the guys on the field. You got the sounds of the game. You got your hot dog. You got your girl around your arm.
Sounds ceremonial.
It is not. Oh, man, I'm telling you. Baseball dates are great first dates. Even if she's not into baseball, you can find things she's into.
There's great dates, period.
Yeah, they are. Because even if she's not into baseball, she's into snacks. You got hot dogs. She could be into beer. You got beer.
Girls like baseball pants, too.
Yeah, well, yeah, and there's girls that like baseball players, too, for other reasons. But, yeah, no, baseball dates are perfect dates because you got nice, cool weather. You can sit and talk. You don't have to watch the game the whole time. No, baseball dates are perfect dates. Also, what I love about baseball, and I should write a love letter to baseball. I love the fact that with baseball is perfect for the radio. Because with baseball, it is perfect for the radio. Because with baseball, what I like to do when I get home, when I was working actual normal shift, I'd get home, I put on the Orioles game. Unfortunately, I'm a long-suffering Orioles fan. I still love my birds. I put on the Orioles game, watch like the first 2 innings, and then I go cook, and then I would leave it on. I turn up the volume. I go cook some dinner, look at some work that I got to get done, and I get it done. And it's just perfect to have the game on the background. And then when I'm ready to go to bed, the game's in the 8th or 9th inning, and I can catch the last 2 innings and then go to bed. And then also with baseball on the radio, I can just turn the game on and just have it on the background while I'm cooking, while I'm like getting work done, while I'm trying to clean the apartment. It's just the sounds of baseball are just perfect for the radio.
You could argue that while the NBA and baseball are more popular sports that have more upside financially right now, baseball is still the best sport.
Baseball is still America's pastime.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people would argue football is, but to me, baseball's America's pastime.
Football's America's love.
Also something, it's football's love. I mean, it's America's love. America's pastime is baseball. Because also, there's nothing better, too, than having a couple buddies over, firing up the grill, putting some burgers on there, and just having the baseball game on in the background.
Yeah, it's a good afternoon, Sunday afternoon thing.
A good Sunday afternoon. Yeah. You got the game on. Maybe you got some cornhole going on, and you just turn up the baseball game. No matter who's playing. It could be the Tides. Just turn the Tides game on and just listen to the game. Listen to the crack of the bat. Listen to the background and the noise. There's just something romantic about baseball and baseball on the radio.
I do remember as a kid living in Columbia, South Carolina, which is like three hours outside of Atlanta. Like we'd pick up games on 107.5 the game down there for Atlanta, and like I remember in the summer, my favorite thing is just falling asleep to Braves games.
Yeah, and another thing, as I continue my love letter to baseball, another thing about baseball is it just reminds you of being a kid.
Yeah,
it takes you back to those days of like you're getting together with your friends. You're riding your bikes to the closest like grass field that you can, and everyone's like, I'm King Griffey Jr., where I'm Cal Ripken Jr., where I'm Andrew Jones, where I'm Chipper Jones.
I miss Chipper Jones.
And you just get together and you just play baseball.
There's still a poster of Chipper Jones on my wall in my bedroom.
It is like it takes you back to being a kid, and then like even playing in the streets and like getting in trouble, and like I'm sure we've all broken windows. We've all broken windows playing baseball. I've done it. You get that one hit, and actually you feel proud until you hear that shatter, and then everybody just scatters everywhere. But yeah, it takes you back to being a kid.
Did you have to own up to it?
It even takes you back to like being at the ballpark with your dad taking you, and like he's got you by your hand, and you're wearing your O's cap, and you got your glove, and you just get in there and you see the sight, you smell the hot dogs, you hear the popcorn, you hear the people chattering, you hear the crack of the bat, you hear the guys playing catch on the field, you hear them warming up, and it just like it takes you back to that time of being a kid, and you're just looking up to these guys like, oh my God, I'm at a baseball game. You're looking at them like giants, like they are.
Jesse's gonna marry a Orioles player. That's what we got from this.
When really, baseball, they're just grown men playing a kid's game. That's what it is. That's baseball, and that's what's beautiful about baseball. And I'll leave it at that. That's my love letter to baseball. When we'll talk a lot more coming up. We'll go ahead and wrap up the show. You got any final thoughts?
I have a breakup letter with the.
You can have a breakup letter to baseball.
No, South Carolina Gamecocks. And I'm sorry, I know no one cares about the Gamecocks up here, but their basketball team broke my heart over a week ago by losing 3 games in a row. Their best player got hurt, man, and I'm just having trouble with it because like Frank Martin's good team.
They were a Final Four team a couple seasons ago.
Well, and we talked about this earlier about like some of these like coaches trying to take these transfers and they just don't work out. Like Frank Martin, he can't recruit all those good players to USC, but he's a good coach and he's gotten a couple. You know, there's a player that they got from Louisville that just wasn't didn't work out because he wasn't eligible, and then like transfers like that. So it's just like they had a chance to make the tournament this year. They have such a bad out of conference. I'm breaking up with them. They're not going to make the tournament. I don't know how they're going to do
the NIT.
They're going to make the NIT, but they're not going to make it. I mean, but I don't think they're going to make such a great run in the SEC tournament. They're going to win the damn thing. So it's just like,
all right.
I'm sad.
We'll end it on that one. Okay.
Oh, I'm going to go see Fenway because I'm going to Boston for St. Pat's next weekend.
Oh,
I
am
am
so
touring
jealous,
Fenway.
man.
We're going to talk a little bit more about that next Thursday.
No, because I have a diehard hatred for the Boston Red Sox, but I would go to Fenway in a heartbeat. I would.
I may cry if I walk in there. I don't know.
So, anyways,
I'm definitely going to be drinking a few.
As we wrap up the show, spring break is next week, but we will be on the air because I really want to preview the Conference USA tournament. We'll probably talk a lot about that. I'll probably try to have like Nathan Epstein on as well because he's covered ODU all year. He can give some great insights about this team, and he'll probably have a nice little preview together too. All right, before we get out, Nick, tell the people how they can follow you.
Boykin803 is my Twitter. I really need some Twitter followers. If I get 10 Twitter followers today, I'll follow each of you back. Whoever comes follows me today, I'll follow you back.
I do that too. I follow back for people that follow as well. Okay. Yeah. Yes, you can find me JV News 3 on Instagram. Find me on Twitter, Jesse WTKR. You can find me on Facebook. You can try to add me, but I may not. I'm not even.
Honestly,
really
don't
Facebook.
even look me up on Facebook. That's just weird. Don't do it. You can look me up on Twitter. I got a picture up there. Don't look me on Facebook.
We'll be back next week, everyone.
Or if you do, hey, actually, if you do, why not?
All right. On that note, peace and love, everyone. We're out.